Thank you so much for doing this tonight, and please, the floor is yours.
All right, can everyone hear me okay? I'm assuming yes, because no one's telling me no, so I'm going to go for this. It's a little unnerving talking to a crowd with seeing some names on the side. So I'm Elizabeth Tyminski. I've been a member of the Junior League of Boston, let's just say a long time. I am an active member of the Junior League, and I'm the current EVP-elect of the Junior League of Boston, but I am a past president of Boston, have served a number of different roles in the Junior League, and I was fortunate enough to serve on the AJLI Governance Committee, be the AJLI Secretary and the AJLI Vice President. And you're like, but I don't even know what AJLI stands for. So I know that there are people who are new to the league, people have been in the league a bit longer, but the AJLI stands for the Association of Junior Leagues International. And what we are is an organization of junior leagues. I'm proud to say, if you didn't know already, the Junior League of Boston is the second oldest junior league there is. I think we look great for our age. We are second to the Junior League of the City of New York. And those of you who know me know I am a lifetime Massachusettsian. I don't use that word sometimes people use for us. That begins with Mass and ends in OLE. But I'm a proud Bostonian. It's hard for me to be number 2 to New York City, but we're a great organization, so I can do that. So the first thing we're going to try to do is play a video, but I don't know if you guys are hearing it. So the Junior League started with one woman, Mary Harriman, who in 1901 was a debutante, but she wasn't happy being a debutante, going to lunch and out with her friends. And she had some very good friends. You may have heard of a woman, Eleanor Roosevelt. And they were friends, and she said, we need to do something different. And she really took a path that was 180 degrees different from what was expected from her. And she set in motion a formidable movement of women, a force of justice and change, unrelated voices for the betterment of society. And it started with one woman, And what she did was she went into the settlements of New York City and the poor areas in 1901 and said, what are we going to be doing? What can we do to make a difference? And they brought women together and they said, well, great. What do we need to do? We needed to raise money, and they also needed to be trained on learning what to do. And doesn't that sound an awful lot by what we're still doing today? And for us, it's a woman, Sarah Lawrence, not the same Sarah Lawrence of the college, but our own great Sarah Lawrence, who started with an idea of sewing circles. And that was her group of women in starting to do the same thing in 1906. I have been told by an historian that we probably started at the same time, but we'll go with they started in 1901, and in 1906, we had more than one league. And so it was pretty exciting that the work started. But when we talk about just one woman, I want to share some other things that one woman did. We have the Glam Squad, who's founded by Rosalind Lucien of the Junior League of Lehigh Valley, who she started programs offering empowering workshops for women and daughters, mothers and daughters, that address social media safety, healthy relationships, and strong social esteem. In San Diego, there was a member, Megan Lim, who co-founded a group to fund nonprofit organizations to help underserved women and girls achieve economic security and self-sufficiency. And Amy Dawson, a member of the Junior League of Halifax in Canada, identified an unmet need in Halifax and came up with a solution. And that was assisting new immigrants with vital dental care and nutritional information in a triage practice out of her dentistry practice. And the thing that I point out about these members, because I know we have some new members on, these were all members who started at the beginning of their junior league. It's something that's been key in the junior league. You don't have to wait till you've been a seasoned member, as I might call myself, but you've got a great idea. We're an organization that makes things happen. And they're actually women who won our Rising Star Award. So we, every year, the Association of Junior Leagues recognizes rising stars. But let's say there have been some members who've been around maybe 10 or 20 or 30 years in the league. What are some things that are happening there? I point out here that in the upper corner here is we have Florence Shapiro. She's the founder of the Plano Service League, but she actually was in government and came up with the idea of being spearheaded AJLI laws, who unfortunately there was a 7-year-old girl who was abducted and murdered in 1993. And she's used that to come up with AJLI laws that punish and track sex offenders and have been used as a national benchmark credited with saving more than 500 children nationwide. There's a woman here, Suzanne Plichik, who represents the rare quality that you find in true change makers, the will to dig deep. And she was one who started to ask tough questions. She looks at the biases and injustices that have become commonplace. She isn't asking how we got here or what we're getting wrong, but rather why we are allowing it to continue. And that might be the hardest question of all, because it doesn't assume that a system is broken or a society at large. It asks us to look at what's broken in every one of us. And then we have to look at how it's mended. This woman up here is Anne McDonald Milling. Many of you remember that in January 2006, there was a destructive wake of Hurricane Katrina. And she came up with the now infamous initiative called Women of the Storm. She gathered 130 women and they traveled to Washington to extend personal invitations for members of Congress to tour the storm's devastation firsthand. And that ended up with coming up with approved funding for a critical housing restoration. And then when the Gulf of Mexico had the Deepwater Horizon oil spill, they were able to come up with a video campaign called Be the One to lobby for funding coastal restorations. And guess what? They got 100,000 signatures in just 100 hours. And then this woman here, Chief Justice Beasley. is the kind of leader we all strive to be, genuinely caring for others and graciously balancing roles as a public servant, wife, mother, friend, and volunteer. Doesn't that sound familiar? She joined the Junior League while she was a district court judge in Cumberland County, North Carolina. And because she was so dedicated to the league, she transferred as a sustainer to the Junior League of Raleigh when she became an associate justice. And now she was appointed and has served on the state's highest court since 2012 to become the North Carolina's first African-American woman Chief Justice in March of this year. Now, what I can say is all of these great initiatives were each created or co-created by just one woman taking action. And these women are known as the Mary Harriman Award winners. And they were the women who each year, the Junior League Executive Committee selects someone to be the Mary Harriman Award winner. And I have to say, it's been one of the favorite projects I got to do. I got to select 4 Mary Harriman Award winners. And that's just if we have one woman doing something. But what if we had more than one? So we're going to go to Brooklyn, New York. In the early 1900s, and they're actually the 4th oldest junior league, they identified the need for free lunches in public school and successfully petitioned the Board of Education. And that would become the model for the future school lunch program. The suffrage movement, when it was in full swing, the Junior League of St. Louis was founded specifically to support that cause in 1915. The Junior League of Mexico City has built one of the most comprehensive centers for the blind in the Spanish-speaking world in 1962. Toledo, Ohio was one of those that were critical in advancing the Clean Water Act of 1972. In Springfield, Missouri, they opened Isabel's House, the crisis nursery of the Ozarks, in 2007. And since they've opened, they've cared for more than 3,500 children and served more than 1,750 families. And then in Boca Raton, in 2011, they created a recognizing the cost burden that diapers can place on low-income families. Doesn't that sound familiar to something we're doing right now? They founded a community diaper bank in 2011. And since then, they have distributed over 1 million diapers in partnership with more than 20 community organizations. And you're probably wondering, well, why am I showing you all of these things about what junior leagues are doing? And the reason is because I want to focus on one woman can do great things. And when we focus our strength and work together within a junior league, we can achieve even more. And I think with everything we're facing right now in the world, this is a great reminder. And what happened in the early 20s, the leagues that existed then, and there were over 30 leagues in actually Canada and the United States, recognized that they had a need for connection and an infrastructure to help facilitate people working together, and the idea that we were stronger together. And the more women who can come together and share our vision, the faster we can achieve our mission. So people wonder about what is the Association of Junior Leagues International. And one of the things is people say, well, the Association of Junior Leagues tells us what to do. Nope. The Junior League of, unlike most international organizations with a head, it's a unique relationship. The junior leagues themselves are actually the owner of the association, and they're the customers of the association. So the association is there to add value to its member leagues in their fulfillment of the junior league mission. And all the leagues that are out there, and there are more than 290 leagues right now and more leagues coming, and in 4 countries, Canada, Mexico, the UK, and the United States, we all share the same mission. And we're today over 125,000 women with a multitude of strengths and skills from very different backgrounds. Oops, I think I lost a picture there. Oh, didn't come up. Oh, I think I'm hitting too soon. Nope, Well, there's the 4 countries, but on mine, I have, let's see if it goes to the next one. Here we go. So this is actually the Association of Junior Leagues International Board of Directors today. And you'll notice that there are women of different ages and different backgrounds. There are also different religions, and they're from all different leagues from across the country. And actually countries. So the woman in the center actually is from the Junior League of London. This woman here, Zena Martin, who's one of my dear friends, is actually now in the Junior League of Savannah, but used to be in the Junior League of London. Right now, we don't have members, but we've had members of the Junior Leagues of, there are 2 leagues in Mexico. There's one in Mexico City and Guadalajara. So we always have a diverse look at what is going on in the world. So I have had the privilege of serving with almost everyone in this picture except for 2 of them now that I look at it. So that's I'm very pleased to know all those great women. So how the 5 ways that we would say the association, and I'm sorry, they're vacuuming in my office, so this is the world. I'm just shutting my door. Things you try to think of, but you know, they are trying to connect leagues and their leaders, providing development opportunities, developing resources, tools, and services, protecting and building the Junior League brand, and addressing the future. One of the things that we know is the Junior League of yesterday is certainly not the Junior League of today. And certainly we all hope that the Junior League of today is certainly going to rapidly change into the Junior League of tomorrow. Because what we're facing today is a lot of struggles that we're all going through. So we're all very aware that what worked yesterday may not work today, and what's certainly working today may not be in the future, but we know that we're always working to try. And our leagues are definitely changing. Even in the time that I've been in the Junior League, which is since 1999, 98, that things are changing. Even as we look at people have different available time, their motivations, their drivers, their expectations. And here's a great thing is the skills, the talents, and the experiences people are bringing. We have members that are joining junior leagues when they're in their 20s. We have members who are joining the junior leagues when they're in 60s. We've had a member join our junior league when here in Boston in their 70s. But what's important is we're all coming from different standpoints and different views, but we're all like-minded women who want to make a difference in the world. And this slide, I kind of laughed, I almost took it out because yes, our world is changing in what we're looking at, but it's changing even faster than ever. The globalization and the networks, and think about that, so much has even changed in the last 9 months. Employment opportunities, there are opportunities that are changing rapidly. Education needs, inequity, production, automation, internal and external communications. How many of us were spending our meetings on Zoom, Teams, and all of that just 9 months ago? You might have had them sometimes, but not to the degree we are now. Training and development, funding opportunities, and administrative processes. Think of the way we did things just a year ago. I know that in my business, and I should have said this, I'm an executive director for a nonprofit here in Boston. And just things with people trying to pay checks and make payments. It is an extremely crowded environment for nonprofits. We're the junior leagues. We're one of the oldest organizations out there. But there are economic, there are micro-lending, there are philanthropy-based, leadership opportunities, cause and issue-based, customers, higher education, there's the workplace. But I like to point out what makes us probably unique from most organizations is that we are a member-driven organization. We have great staff that are helping us with lots of things, but it is our board that is looking at things for us here in Boston as running the organization. And the AJLI board is looking at things strategically. They're looking at the idea of lifelong membership, effective operations, how to better share knowledge, our brand identity, and the impact we have in the world. We have a 4-year strategic plan that they've been working on, which is just now looking to create the new one. Creating stability and growth, building our brand, scale impact, and ensuring organizational excellence. And the way that we've been looking at things is that having meaningful community impact is important to our members. A member-centric member experience is important, and being a well-run organization. And I'm pretty proud of the fact that I think that you can see, especially as we've been going through the crisis right now, that I think we're a very strong league. You know, I'm biased, but I do think we're a strong league. Again, there's the shifting world demographics, as we talked about. And here's a great thing, and I'm very proud of the fact that people often ask me about diversity and inclusion, and the slide should actually be changed to diversity, equity, inclusion. But here's the diversity statement of the Junior League. The Junior League welcomes all women who value our mission. We are committed to inclusive environments and diverse individuals, organizations, and communities. But what I love about the Junior League, and we didn't do this year, this was in 2015, and I wasn't in the work, it's all women. And to me, that's a really key feature right now. I've been asked, well, how are we? Do we invite women that are transgender? What do we say? The answer is it's all women. I think that's a great approach. I am a graduate of Smith College, so perhaps, as you can see, my background, I tend to work on things that I feel pretty strongly about supporting women. What we're aiming for is to have Junior League's 100% commitment to diversity and inclusion. One of the things that was developed a few years ago was an accelerator fund, and it's actually to provide grants for leagues to do work specifically in the areas of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I'm very proud to say, and this happened while I was on the board and was able to cast my vote, that the Junior League of Boston was one of the first Accelerator Fund grantees. So here's something that I want to point out and something for you to think about. Oftentimes when we look at the Junior League of Boston, people think of us as white gloves and pearls, because yes, we did start as an organization of debutantes, but that's not who we are today. And one of the things that we tend to do, and I know I've done this over the years, is we share our pictures, and we like to share our pictures of the work, and we have our great galas and we have our great events and we go out. But we need to remember to always be sharing to folks outside what the Junior League is and what we do, and share with all the fabulous work we do. Just this weekend was, just yesterday, was walking down Newbury Street and happened to stop in to see what was happening. Brooks Brothers was going to be closing, stepped in the door, and a few years ago we had an event prior to the Junior League Gala was at Brooks Brothers, and this woman said, well, what about the Junior League? Is the Junior League still around? And my husband said, oh, wait. And so I practiced this whole presentation on the women there. So she knew all about the great things Boston was doing right now. But it was a great conversation. She had more fun talking, and someone wanted a black skirt, and you could tell that she'd really rather talk about the Junior League. So, but I tend to do that because we tend to assume people know about the Junior League, and we forget to tell everyone what we're doing, because that is the best way for people to learn about the Junior League. Is two things. Is one, tell people about the Junior League, and then tell them how to join the Junior League. How many times have you heard about an organization and no one says to you, well, this is how you can join the organization? And people think of the fact, and this just came up on one of the Facebook pages, is about, well, the Junior League has sponsorship. Well, the Junior League Boston hasn't had sponsorship for more than 25 years. And it's an important thing that people understand that you need to, that we welcome all women and to make it an approach. But when you talk to people about the Junior League and tell them about the event, make sure that you follow up and say, is this something you're interested in? I think it'd be great. Do you want to come and hear this event when we're back into having things? Do you want to come with me? Or would you like to go to an info session? Make sure people know that they're welcome to join the Junior League. There's an organization that a lot of my friends belong to, and another member had invited me for membership, and I was then at a party and all these people came up and said, wow, I never thought you'd be interested. And I said, yeah, because you never asked me and I never knew how to join, but I knew how to join the Junior League of Boston. So people ask, how do you get involved in AJLI? It is that league leaders identify, nurture, and recruit. But guess what? Anyone can nominate themselves. There is a governance committee that's like our nominating committee. And then there's the board. You don't have to be a past president to serve on the board or to serve on the governance committee. The governance committee meets, it screens, it interviews, and it slates. And then actually the leagues vote on the slate. So Kathleen will be having a vote. We'll get a slate of people. The slate will be coming out very soon to see who the next leaders are. But this is the same as what happens in our leagues. And you're going to be hearing, and you say, oh, I don't know how to apply for a Junior League of Boston. Well, I'm going to encourage you both at the AJLI level and at the Junior League level. When you see someone and you think they'd be great for someone, say, go ahead and apply, or let me put your name in and help out nominating. Because I will tell you, that's how I got involved. Is someone, I used to work for an insurance company at Liberty Mutual. You may have heard of it with the strange Umu, the great commercials. I think they're a little odd, but anyway, someone heard me speak. I wasn't very quiet in a meeting, and the next thing I know, she's like, she knew I was in the Junior League, and she invited me in and said, I think you should come to an interview. And the next thing I know, I was on the nominating vice chair. I had enjoyed my first year experience, and my advisors, who are dear friends to this day, and I became what used to be a provisional advisor, became a new member advisor. And I'm very pleased to say that there are many, many women who have stayed members for many years, and there are many members who've gone on to be leaders. And there are 6 women that have been in my new member classes, including the current president, Kathleen Quinlan Riley, who I was their provisional advisor. And if anyone asked me my big approach, that was it. So where are we going for the 21st century? We want strong leagues and a strong association so that we can be the premier network of women empowered as leaders, creating community change.
Changing the world starts with a simple question. What can I do about that? It's a personal question with a personal answer. Now, what happens when 1,000 women ask that question? Or 100,000? What happens when all those hearts and minds are aimed at one specific issue? What happens when we go all in? If the pioneering women who founded the Junior League over a century ago looked at us today, they would see one resounding similarity, that every single one of us is a force to be reckoned with. Every single one of us is invincible. But nothing compares to what happens when we unite. That solidarity, that commitment, that's what makes us the Junior League. A sisterhood of uniquely trained leaders who know how to connect the dots, activate our communities, and conquer the ever-evolving challenges in our communities far and wide. Today, those challenges may be great, and they may be coming at us from many directions, all at once. but they're no match for us. Not when we work together, not when we put our hearts and minds to it. So here's a question. Are you ready to go all in?
All right. Could anyone hear the second video? Oh, good. So the only other thing I wanted to say is we've been great in the Junior League of Boston, but that one, you see our logo, that's the same, that is the AJLI logo. That is the one thing that is owned by AJLI. Not all leagues use it, but we're trying to get more and more leagues to use it so that it will help with that identity across the 4 countries. And we adopted it back in 2006. So we've been doing that for a great amount of time. So any questions about anything?
Hi, Elizabeth. It's Grace. Thank you so much for doing this. It's always so inspiring to hear the impact that AJLI members individually and then together can accomplish so many great things. My question for you is, what challenges does AJLI face when implementing their strategic plan? So like, for instance, you mentioned that not all leagues have adopted the, official logo. And how does AJLI manage sort of when they face resistance from individual leagues?
Well, one of the things when they look at the strategic plan, and I'm glad you brought that up, is actually we have a whole resolution process, and anything that can be changed to our bylaws comes up from the members. An advisory resolution can come to the board. But the biggest way is actually communications with the leagues. So they continue to go out and listen to the leagues, ask the leagues, try to communicate. They've been doing a great job this year of, even though that they can't visit any leagues. That was my favorite thing to do when I was on the board, is I got to visit a whole bunch of leagues and go out and see a lot of different people. And the interesting thing was that leagues all assumed that everything is done exactly the same. I went to a dinner, which I think I was in Toledo, I'm not quite sure. But we were sitting at a table and the woman's next to me and she's talking and she's like, and I think it was like, and we have our PRAs tonight and going on. And I finally looked at her and I said, I don't know what a PRA is. And she goes, really, are you making fun of me? And I'm like, no. And it was their policy something advocates. And I was like, and she really was embarrassed and she thought I was saying, but the heart of it is knowing that we connect to our mission and then listening to leagues and making sure that they speak up. So as it's almost to say, when you hear things and you hear things from Kathleen or questions, it's making sure that as members, have a voice, so that Kathleen goes to vote. We have, we had this fall, which would have been a great in-person conference, but we did it virtually. Celeste was there. We went, and Lynn Huckabee was there, and Sarah Given. We went and we listened to these sessions and we spoke up and we had group meetings. Breakouts were great. One of the things that I didn't have in my presentation is we have a brand new CEO. Her name is Patsy Dorr, and she seems amazing, dynamic. Diversity, equity, inclusion is a big thing for her. Is bringing leagues together to share ideas and to also know that it's kind of a catch-22. If you've seen one league, you've seen one junior league. But I also can say, if you've seen one problem, there's probably someone out there that's had that same issue. Every volunteer organization out there is facing issues with growth. Trying to be everything to everybody doesn't always work, but trying to promote and come up with good ideas and listen to people, I think, is the biggest thing. We can't dictate by saying a strategic plan is you make a strategic plan and you put it in a drawer. I mean, I think one of the great things is in Boston, we looked at our governance structure so that we came up with a management committee with to look at the day-to-day management, the annual plan, and have a group that was a strategic plan. And I can tell you that it took us a bit to evolve there, because we used to have a somewhat different structure like that. We went to a single board, and then we listened to the example that AJLI said is, here's what's good to do. And we brought in someone, but we also listened and talked to other leagues and what's the pitfalls, what works, doesn't work. And I think that's the thing that you have to do generally is remember that we have a rich history and appreciate that rich history, say that 3 times fast, but also know that there are new approaches. But I often say that the problems of balancing, when I joined Liberty Mutual and I talked to a woman who was in the league and she asked me how it was, and she was a sustainer, and she said, well, in the 80s, it was a big issue because women were starting to work and people looked at us like, oh, you won't have time to volunteer. And, you know, what were we going to be? And she laughed because we were having a gala and she's like, oh, and people think of you as just women who have parties. And it was like, you're right, we have the same issue. But the thing is, the heart of women wanting to volunteer and make a difference and show that we get things done, that's a constant. So trying to look at the past, ask questions, and look to the future. And when we look at lifelong membership, I think we're moving more and more into the idea you're a member of the league. It's not that, well, you do this or you do that, or now you're an active or you're a sustainer, you're a member of the junior league. And I forgot a very important thing. Once you're a member in one league, you can go and join any other league and transfer to that league. That's a strong part of the history and the basis of Boston. So many women come to this great city. The other thing is so many people move to other great cities. But what's great is once you've been in a junior league, you can come and meet other women, and it's a fabulous thing. So I want to make sure you know, don't think that, you know, you might be here and you've got a great opportunity to move to Oklahoma. There's a junior league. There's many junior leagues there. So I don't know. Did I answer that at all, Grace? I get started talking and I get, I get pretty excited. I have to tell you, the junior league has made a substantial impact of my life. And I come from a family of volunteers. I, no lie, went to my first board meeting when I was 4 years old because my mother, you know, had me, and she got involved in things, and she's like, well, you're going to go to that board meeting. You sit there and color. And that's what I did. And I learned, and she was a parliamentarian, and I learned all of that. But I started working for this insurance company, and it's getting better, but it was an insurance company with all men. And my friends from college, we were all living together, and guess what? They moved to the West Coast. And this was I'm dating myself, but there wasn't this great thing out there yet, a Facebook, where you found all your friends from high school, that even though I grew up 12 miles away, I got to tell you, I got friends from Reading, Mass, who will not come into the scary city. And so I was like, I need organized volunteering. I need to find strong women connections, and I needed friendship. And to me, the women that I have found have been amazing. And I'll do one other thing that Grace has heard many times, but one of the great things is, I've mentioned my alma mater. I was at a meeting and this woman said to me, why aren't you more involved in Smith? And I said, well, because I don't know any Smithies anymore. They moved away. And she's like, oh, I'm the president of the Smith Club. Well, guess what? I got very involved in my alumni group, and now do a great deal of fundraising for them. So all great things. Take advantage of when you can. And there are times when you don't have as much time to give to the league. That's okay too. You still can be a member. I also say to people, do not feel you have to be, 14 different things. Molly, the members of the junior league are the people who do the work. They're the backbone of the junior league. So any other questions? I'm hoping.
So we do have a question in the chat.
Okay.
Everyone wants to know if you can talk about AJLI, ODI, and how that can benefit any members if they're looking to be in leadership roles or are currently in leadership roles.
The organizational development institutes are one of the best things that are out there. And if you are a leader, it's a great thing to attend because they have tracks that talk about different areas. But I would say if you have an opportunity, even if it isn't something that the Junior League of Boston has the resources to send you to, but you can have the resources, especially as they're done virtually right now, to learn for topics on DEI, to learn topics on community. It's a great way to meet other league members and to also develop some skills in yourself that you may not have thought of. It's where I went to my first ODI when I was on nominating and learned some great things about how to look and to explore that everyone didn't have a direct path, and you didn't have to just find a person who had on paper had done everything. That you know, if someone was looking at development, that this was a great opportunity for people to learn new skills. And that's a big part of what the Junior League is about. One of the things that my husband's family used to tease me about, they didn't know what the Junior League was, and they would say, oh my goodness, and you just plan parties. I had never planned a party before. The year after I was president, I planned the Ball of the Century for our anniversary, but I had never done that. I have my current job today because of things that I've learned in the Junior League. When I also went to ODIs and learned about topics of community, about how to look at community projects. I developed leadership skills. And one of the things I'm most proud of also in the Junior League, I have to laugh. I don't know if any of you know Amy Bucher, but Amy Bucher is my husband's cousin. And it was kind of funny because it's actually his cousin's daughter, and would joke. And then the next thing I know, we were going to a Junior League event. Well, first, at the time, she wasn't my sister-in-law, but the year I was president, she said, I joined the Junior League. I was like, oh my God, what if you don't have a good year, the family's gonna give me a hard time. And the next thing, a few years later, we had an event, and I'm like, Jerry goes, there's Amy. And Amy went on to join the Junior League as well, because she'd heard me talk about how great it is. But she's been to ODIs on community. I would say, please check them out. And to me, I've known people who've gone and realized that they can be a leader because they've gone to ODI. So if you already know you're in a leadership track, you should go to it. And if you want to just have more development, go to a ODI as well. Guys got to stump me yet. Come on. No other questions? Anything about Boston? This is unnerving. Quiet group here.
Elizabeth, I have a question.
Okay. And you don't have to have them. I promised them that I would not take the whole hour, so it's okay.
Well, you mentioned how it's a crowded nonprofit space. In this crowded space, how does the Junior League continue to stay relevant and competitive?
Ooh, okay, so you're going to stump something that I'll come up with. That's a tough one. I think the thing that we need to do to be, I think we are a relevant organization. I think we have to be careful not, I think one of the best things that I learned, and it was actually at a regional conference, was making sure that when we look at the story, making sure that everyone recognizes they're part of the whole story. So when we're right now in Boston looking at what our strategic focus is know that sometimes making sure everyone recognizes they're part of that story and seeing the whole story, so that we know that when we have the development efforts, that helps with the funds that we desperately need now. And that the best example I had was from a league that a woman talked about. The focus that they had was making packs to help underprivileged kids and get them food and stuff. And the woman said, now, for me, I'm not great with kids, give me a puppy. But when I saw the face and to know that I was working on the development efforts that helped get the food that we were able to put in the backpack for that little boy that came every week and needed his backpack, that was the difference. So I think that we need to make sure that we explain to everyone and that we are always having conversations and don't assume that everyone knows what we're talking about. So even in the league, when you're working on maybe your project and we're working on grants or we're working on what is the community and impact fund, that even if it might be your 3rd year or 15th year or 20th year in the league, that we remember to explain to people why we do things and share our passion for things. So that's the first thing. And then I think we need to make sure to share with people how we're doing the work, that if you want a place that you really can make a difference in all you do, that's a place of the Junior League, because we're part of the whole story. So if you want to save the red-spotted turtle, yes, you can join an organization that's just for the red-spotted turtle, but we're part of the whole story. And I don't think we do always a great job of that. And I'm going to put in a little plug of when we look at our mission and we say our piece is we're exclusively educational and charitable. I'm going to put a little spin on that, because yes, there's the charitable part that we all need to contribute because this is how we work. But I also remind one another that we need to be charitable to one another. So that when we do an event, or you go to even an event and you start to think, and what do we do sometimes as women? We go, that was so much fun. And then someone says, oh, can you believe they had the pink napkins? They should have been green. And then what does someone say? You're right. And what did we do from something that we were really excited about? It's really easy for us to all start talking and nitpicking all the things we would have been doing. And then we forget to share all the great things and that great feeling of being excited about it. And the other thing is really this message of sharing with at home with our families, our friends, our coworkers. And especially when you come home and maybe your partner or your roommate or whatever, to talk about how great the Junior League is. And, you know, I'm very fortunate because I will admit I went to my very first info session, and many of you who know me have heard this over and over again, but some of you are new, so you have to. And I had a good friend, and she was handling the membership and said, come to this session. And I sat in a room, and you're going to find this funny because you can all see me now. I looked at a room and said, oh, these are all blonde-haired women. And I'm like very intimidated by everyone. Okay. What was I thinking? But everyone in the room wasn't blonde, but I thought everyone was so put together. And I was like, oh my goodness, I don't know, should I join? And I went home and this very wise man said to me, I got a good feeling about this. Just fill out the application. And these people everyone has just been so welcoming and pushed me and shared with me. So people, wonder why, I come home and people were like, why is Mike so positive on the Junior League? And it's because he's seen what a difference it's made, but also I share with them how great the Junior League is. And he just loves it. And I've been to things where he's been at networking events for UMass, and he'll come home and he said, I told this woman you would call her because she should join the Junior League. And then he'll be like, did you call her yet? She should join the Junior League. And that's the kind of thing that we forget to do. And it's just such a great organization. And it doesn't mean every day you're going to have a perfect day in the junior league, because you're like, I had to listen to this woman talk so I could get my training credit. Or, you know, but it's every day to think about that it's through the effective action of trained volunteers. I also share with that. It may not always be the most efficient way that you would think to do it, but it's the effective action of trained volunteers. So I would say we need to make sure we tell people, and I can tell you that AJLI is looking at not necessarily changing our mission, but making it shorter and making sure that we can share what we do better so that it's easier to get that mission out so other people know what we're doing. So I just hope that you learned one thing tonight, if nothing else, to please share with someone over these holidays to say, whatever holiday it is you may or may not be celebrating, even if it's Festivus, in their grievances, to say, I wish more people knew about the Junior League. But at any time, please reach out to me. If you can figure out how to spell my name, you can reach me. It's Tyminski. That's the hardest thing about my name. But please reach out, and I would love to hear and help you in any time you ever want to know about anything with the Junior League of Boston or AJLI. And I'm looking forward to next, when soon we can all be together and really come out and support. But thank you for supporting the Junior League of Boston in our toughest times that we have right now.